Hey there, fellow coders. Today we are diving into some core concepts of the Go programming language, like variables, types, type conversion, and capturing user inputs. If you are just starting out with Go or looking to brush up on your basics, you are in the right place. Let's get started. Variables. So, first things first, let's talk about variables. In Go, variables are used to store data, like numbers or strings, that you can use later in your code. Now there are two ways to declare your variable. One is the traditional way and other is the shorthand variable declaration. In traditional way, you will have your keyword var and then the variable name followed by the type and then the value. In shorthand variable declaration, you mention the variable name, then the syntax is full colon equal to, then you have the value. The Go will infer the type. Now you can declare a variable without initializing its value. Now let's go to our code editor and declare some variables using different methods. You can see I'm using Goland IDE, which is a Go specific IDE by JetBrains. So I have already created one project called my_03 project. Now you can go ahead and create your own project of your favorite IDEs. If you are not familiar with how to create a project and manage its dependencies, please refer to my previous video. I have put in detail on how you can create a project and manage the dependencies. Okay, now let's start with declaring a variable. Before that, we need to mention package main. Then we will import the FMT package. I have auto completion enabled, so IDE takes care of all of the code completions. Now let's initiate a variable called name, var name, and we need to mention the type string. Let's print it out and let's run this. So it has printed out the output. As you can see, I have used the keyword var, then the variable name and the type of that particular variable, and then the value which it needs to store. Now we can also declare a variable with its type, initialize the variable at later point of time. Let's print it out and see. As you can see, it has printed out the output and we are getting our age value. Now we will look into the shorthand declaration of a variable. We will give location, here, and let's print it out. Go is going to infer this values type. Let's run this. And see, it has inferred it correctly. Types. Go is a statically typed language, meaning every variable has a specific type and that type can't change. So there are two types, basic types and composite types. Let's start with basic types. Basic types include Boolean, which is true or false, integers, and integers are subdivided into signed and unsigned integer. Now if you know the use case of your variables, you can specifically mention the size of the value it needs to store. Also then floating point is there and complex values. Let's go into the code. You can see the different types which we have already declared in our program. So the name stores the string data type, age is for int. Let's add a Boolean value, var present or equal to show, and let's print it out. You can see the Boolean value is also printed. So these are the basic types which you can use in your program, and you will use basic types plenty in your code. Now let's move on to the composite types. Composite types in Go includes array. Array is a fixed size collection of elements of the same type. You can see here we have mentioned an array called ARR whose size is 4, can store 4 elements of the same type. If it's string, it has to be string. Next is slice. Slice is more flexible than arrays and the size is more dynamic. Moving on to struct. Struct is also dynamic size, but it is more flexible than arrays. Now comes map. Map consists of unordered collection of key value pairs. So basically, if you're coming from a Python background, it would be your dictionary. Next is pointers. So pointers hold the memory address of a variable. You can see the syntax. We will be diving into each one of them in separate videos. For this video, we will stick to basic types. Next topic we are going to cover is type conversion. Go does not support implicit type conversion. In Go, you must explicitly convert types when needed. So here is a basic syntax of this. So T is the type you want the value to be converted to. Let's go ahead and look into the type conversion part. Let's declare a variable called rate of interest. Variable naming convention, you will be following camel case in Go. So rate of interest will be a float, 32, and I'll store 12.34 as a value. Var converted value int in 32 rate of interest. Now let's print out the value. As you can see, it has printed the value 12. You have to be careful when you are doing the type conversion in Go, as you can lose critical information during the type conversion process. As we see here, that 12.34, the decimal part of the number, it just went away. You lost that information. So you have to be really careful wherever you are using this. Next, we are going to look into capturing user inputs. Now, there are many methods to capture user inputs. We are going to use the FMT package. Now, there is 3 ways you can capture the input in FMT: FMT scan, FMT scanf, and FMT scanl functions. Now, FMT scan is flexible with white space and no specific format is required, whereas FMT.scanf requires a particular format string to parse input. Whereas FMT scanln will stop reading when a new line character is encountered. Now let's go to the code and capture one user input. We will be using scan here. Var payable amount. We will store it as integer. Now let's use the fmt.scan payable amount. This ampersand is basically a reference to this variable. We will dive in depth on pointers and references in later videos. So just remember, for right now, this payable amount, whatever the value we input, the standard input will be referencing this value, and that reference is being passed over here. Now payable amount, let's print this out. Payable amount to the console. Now it's prompting user to type in the value 890. So you can see the payable amount is 890. So that's all, folks, for today's video. We have covered the basics of variables, types, type conversion, and user input capture. These are the essential building blocks that will help you on your Go programming journey. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this video helpful, and subscribe for more Go tutorials. Happy coding and see you next time.